Hello, hello, and welcome to, I don't know what episode this is anymore.
It's either 12 or unlucky 13.
It's some number past 10.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode some number past 10 of Gimpy Bytes, the only place I know of on, well, anywhere where gaming and disability come to one fine point on the space-time continuum. In case this episode ends up being another Gorilla edition, I'm the captain of games.
And I am the Zenist of Boros. Yeah.
Oh, you're getting better at that, finally. You've embraced your heritage as the Burrow. So, our inaugural episode was about Pokemon Go and children with autism finally being able to find a social context that didn't make them super anxious. Yep. So, in that tradition, in episode number something past 10,
Yep.
We're bringing you another story of a game that intends to help children on the autism spectrum learn to recognize social cues. This game is called Frankie and Friends, and it is currently undergoing a clinical trial by the Telethon Kids Institute in Australia. The developer is hence Australian.
Yep.
And what they're doing is they're using the game and the way the game works. So we'll have a clip of it up here for you. Actually, it's, a clip with the developer talking. And basically what they're doing is they're assessing the kids prior to giving them the app. And they're tracking things like eye movement to see if the kids are actually paying attention to images on the screen. And they're measuring attention and other response markers 7 days prior to testing and then post-app use testing to see if there's any improvement in the ability to track imagery and recognize emotional responses. And the goal is to help them be able to more easily navigate social situations from what they learn while playing the game.
Oh, yeah. And for those who are curious, they are using an iPad, which they provide for free.
Because iPads are better than Android tablets. better, and more reliable.
Yeah. Well, from what we know about the game itself, based on the limited information, there are different goals. Some of them involve helping Frankie, who is like a sausage dog, I guess that's what they're called,
like
weenie dogs.
Like a dachshund?
Yeah, like a dachshund.
Dachshund? Dachshund? Dachshund?
I'm really bad at my dog breed names.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I when I grew up, they used to be called wiener dogs.
No, that's what people called them because they look like hot dogs. They weren't literally called wiener dogs. I think they're dachshunds.
Yeah, just take what he says as fact. But anyway, it's this type of dog that can speak, I assume. And what you have to do, you have to find his friends, and his friends are these pictures of real life people who have different facial expressions, and they walk on two legs. And I'm just guessing based on what I've seen of the game. Like, if you're trying to find the sad friend, the child tries to find the sad face friend, and then picks them up and puts them on the dog's back. That's what I saw in one gameplay shot.
And in another clip, they had like a free roam mode where characters would come on and off the screen, and they would have pictures of people with varying emotional facial expressions like anger, sadness, happiness, like laughing, and that sort of thing. And but there would also be these random objects that would show up, and the goal of that mode is to teach the kids to pay attention to the people instead of the random shiny things that I like to pay attention to that are over there somewhere.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for that is because one of the similarities between the brains of children on the autism spectrum and for that matter, ADHD is a smaller prefrontal cortex, meaning that they have difficulty regulating executive function tasks like concentration, focusing on one thing as opposed to another.
Or planning.
Right.
Yeah.
One commonplace that shows up in social interaction that most people, I can't say we because I have to think about it, don't pay attention to is in a crowded room. I noticed when I was younger and I used to go to clubs and stuff like that, a lot of people have the ability to actually have a conversation in a loud environment. I can't. And one of the reasons for that is because we have difficulty filtering the person's voice from the background noise. And it's not just that I can't hear them, I literally can't process what they're saying, even if I can hear them.
Yeah, it's like multiple sounds in your head, and you're just like, ah.
So it's to help the kids train themselves to focus their concentration on one thing as opposed to another.
Yep.
And I'm assuming the study is for kids ages. I was going to combine the two and say kidges. Kids ages 5 to 12. And presumably one of the reasons for that is these are very key points in a child's formative development and the points at which the brain is most plastic other than infancy. So if they have an early enough intervention, I presume that if this small clinical trial is successful or suggests positive results, I should say more correctly, these will then lead to longer clinical trials with the idea that if an intervention is early enough in the life cycle, some of the cognitive difficulties that cause social isolation, awkwardness, can be mitigated further down the road.
Yeah, and you've nailed the point of Telethon Kids Institute.
Oh.
Actually, a little side note, I read a little bit on this researcher who just what he just explained about intervention and teaching them social skills at around that age range, like it mitigates a lot of the challenges associated with autism.
Because if left unchecked, speaking from external and internal experience, that stuff leads to the depression, the anxiety, and the other things that are often comorbid with an autism spectrum disorder, including in some cases ADHD, because ADHD has since been reclassified as an autism spectrum diagnosis.
Yep.
So either way you slice it, I got that mess, dude. Because yeah, and speaking from experience, it's a lot harder to mitigate some of the more difficult aspects after the age of 25, because that's when your neuroplasticity significantly decreases because your brain development is more or less finished.
Yeah. So yeah, just learn hell languages.
There's lots of hope for these kids. By the way, this isn't related to gaming. I think this is really cool because this actually reinforces the French view on things like ADHD, that they're not psychopharmacological intervention really isn't necessary, because the French model sees things like ADHD as more or less social, not necessarily disorders, but social problems, because they have to do with providing a child structure. And speaking from experience, if I wasn't taught manners at a very young age and had those things drilled into me, I would be terrible at conversation with humans. Terrible at conversation with humans, despite the fact that I can read people very well.
Yeah, very competently. I had two thoughts just now. But, one thing that we want to show you, they actually have a PDF pamphlet of what this study is about. And just in general questions.
If we get this on the video, you should be seeing it on your screen. If not, he's of course going to read from it either way. But we'll have links to this and the website in the description.
Yeah, so it's an invitation for you, the parent with the child who has autism, to take part in a research study which examines whether using a new app-based game may improve social attention. And the purpose of the study, we've talked a lot about that just now. That's one of the questions. What's interesting is they give you an outline of the study stages. For example, the first one is a pre-questionnaire, which asks you general questions about your child and their social behavior and how they deal with it and their overall functioning. And then they do a first assessment at the Telethon Kids Institute, where they ask the child to play two play-based cognitive and diagnostic assessments.
Diagnostic.
Sorry. I still have language troubles.
Yeah.
And then the child will be asked to sit in front of a computer whilst a device measures where they look at on a screen known as an eye tracker. During this time, a variety of social and non-social images will be presented, such as faces depicting happy and angry facial expressions. This assessment will take no longer than 2.5 hours. And then they got a randomization, where they'll be randomly allocated to play either the training game or the control version of the game, which only the researchers will know.
Otherwise known as the placebo.
Yeah, children in the training condition will receive the actual game to play, and children in the control condition will receive a game which is similar in appearance but is not intended to improve social attention. And we will give your family a tablet, such as an iPad. So you see, they're really trying to get this thing going. So if you're iPadless, they'll provide you one.
So, by the way, it looks like we'll be doing something else very soon. So this video is probably just going to go straight to YouTube from the iPhones.
Yeah.
Earlier, this episode's going to go straight to YouTube from the phone. Well, not really, because now I have to put it in iMovie. Thank you, moron from San Diego!
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have links to the stuff in the description-y boxy thing.
Yep.
With the social media linky stuff. And, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of fascinated when I found this.
And see, this is the other thing about ADD. Track switching is easy, but interruptions are very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a long time.
I've known him for almost 9 years now, so...
And I've known myself for the rest of it.
Yeah, my knowledge comes nowhere. But yeah, that was the subject of our episode.
Yeah, I really like the direction that games as a form of cognitive behavioral training type stuff is headed, because the less we lean on pharmacological intervention where possible, the less we're going to see negative side effects, because chemicals are very powerful things with somewhat unknown consequences. If you don't need them, don't use them.
Yeah. By the way, that's also one of their goals with this game. Yeah. So, yeah, they're trying to cover all bases and.
Well, cool. So, we're gonna go watch a stream
Yep.
for some cool games, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.